I have something else I want to talk about that I can't talk about too much because it's the Outer Wilds DLC came out.
Okay.
Now, Wooly, before I continue, just for the purposes of clarity, you played Outer Wilds to some degree. How much Outer Wilds did you play?
Enough for the game's premise to reveal itself, and
Okay.
enough to start walking around and, solving a couple of the first puzzles.
All right. Did you solve the mystery of the moon?
Mm,
No. Okay, you didn't. You didn't. If that Outer Wilds is the kind of it's a mystery game, right? And it's in terms of intuiting and solving and learning information about figuring out how to traverse areas.
I met stuff on the moon, but I guess I didn't solve it.
No, it would be like light bulb above your head
Unequivocally,
obvious.
yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the whole game is like that. If you I could ask you, did you solve the mystery of the tornadoes on Giants Deep? And if the answer is I don't know, the answer is no,
Okay.
right? Um, so uh, Outer Wilds was a really bizarre game to get DLC because it presents you with a clockwork solar system, right? And they're all little mini planets. And by the end of the Outer Wilds, I had explored every single inch of every single one of those planets except for like the little lava moon around Brittle Hollow. Like, and I know other people had explored everything, and there's nothing left to find. I first off getting the DLC, they did a great job figuring out a new place to put an actual explorable location where the most of the DLC takes place. And the second thing is that it is a sequel.
Oh. Huh. Okay.
It is approximately 75% of the length of the base game, and it has more mechanics in it than the whole rest of the game. And the eureka moment of understanding the mechanics of the new area are about 2 to 3 times more mind-blowing than solving the moon's mystery, which is the biggest like light bulb above your head mystery in the original. It is absolutely A plus, super fantastic, incredible, and I cannot highly recommend it enough to anybody. It's the same thing with Outer Wilds in general. Like that game is A plus plus.
Did anyone know what this was going to be up before it
No,
dropped?
they said it was Echoes of the Eye, which if you had beaten the full game, it would have given like a little hint, but like really not all that much. And the DLC starts, it says there is a new museum exhibit in that first museum area that you get to that points you to a radio station that is a new added area on the starting planet. And you go to the radio station, and then there's some photos of the solar system on the wall, and that's what you have to go on.
So it's Silk Song.
No. Silk Song was a DLC they kept talking about, and then they said it was going to be a real game. Like, there was not a single screenshot of any of the new content in any of the lead up to the stuff. The only thing that was known is like the title.
Okay.
That's it.
Surprise sequel.
Yeah, and I get in there, and it does a really fantastic. So it takes primarily in one area.
The idea was that because like Silk Song was like fat piece of DLC that no one thought was gonna be a fucking full on sequel, and then it's like, oh shit, this is a full on sequel.
It's closer to the Frog Faction's Cool Hat DLC.
Okay. Okay.
Because it takes place in like one core area, and then you discover that there is more to that core area than you originally thought, which was pretty common in most of the other zones in the game. And then you discovered that there's more to that area than you thought, and then there's even more to that area that you thought. So like the area just keeps growing in size more and more and more and more and more. But traversal time is super, super low. Like getting from your ship at the beginning to the start of the new area in terms of like time is like 30 seconds. Like you can, once you know where to go, fucking get there in a second. It's incredible. It's absolutely amazing.
Have you gone through
I will not talk about I got through all of it, and it changes the ending too, which was its own problem. Because beating the DLC changes the ending. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just beat it again. Well, I haven't played Outer Wilds' main campaign in 18 months, and figuring out or rediscovering how to correctly navigate the series of steps to get to the credits, which is ostensibly a 12-minute process, took me an hour and 12 minutes. Dozens of failures.
So this is
very
still
frustrating.
This is still the least talk-aboutable good game that's come out.
Yeah. There is one thing that you can talk about, which is they added more explicit horror sections in this DLC. And it's generally spookier.
Okay.
And there's enemies that will, walk around and grab you. And those sections are terrible. And because it's not clear where the enemies are looking, it's not clear how fast they're moving, etc. So there's an option in the menu that says lesser frights. And when you turn it on, the enemies can't run anymore.
Interesting. Okay.
So they go from like genuinely difficult antagonists where you're just trying to read shit on the walls to slow-moving mines.
Well, the concept of any opposition beyond like my own ability to pilot is already like surprising to hear. So,
yeah, but game's great. I cannot highly recommend Outer Wilds and its DLC more to anyone that enjoys learning and mysterying about shit, unless you have a crippling fear of space. So I was talking to Paige about it, and then as I got into my spaceship and then like whipped around the sun and did a cool orbit to land on a planet, like she was like putting her face in her hands, like fucking freaked out because of space and shit like that. So if you're terrified of space, somewhat like being terrified of the deep ocean, yeah, this game's gonna make you vomit every day. But for everybody else, it's probably one of the best games I've ever played in my life.
Okay. What's the DLC campaign called?
Echoes of the Eye. Though now they're selling the game as, I think it's called the Archaeologist Edition.
The whole thing together.
Includes it. Probably the best thing about the DLC is that I can easily imagine if you were a person who... Because most people who are playing it now beat the Outer Wilds and then got to the DLC, so they know what would be new or not, right? The DLC is very strongly hidden for players that don't already have a good grasp on the solar system. And I can imagine a situation in which the average player going through various areas and going, oh, this must be the DLC. Oh no, this one must be the DLC.
You have to find it. Yeah, okay.
And it's no, it's not. You'll know. You'll know 100%.
Is there a title screen?
Yeah, it's great. Pardon?
Is there a title screen that pops up to let you know you've entered it?
No.
Yeah.
But it's...
Okay.
It's overt. It's very overt. You
Okay.
if you once you're at the location, you could not possibly intuit anything other than this is the DLC area, because it's just gigantic in scope compared to the average planet. Like in terms of pure landmass, the new area is like the combination of like 4 of the other planets.
Oh shit. Okay.
Like it's enormous.
Yeah,
It's
I have
good
other
game.
questions, but I clearly it's not. I can't ask.
I mean, you
them,
can
really,
ask, but
so.
I'll probably give you some side talky bullshit.
Yeah. Does it add to the story in an essential
Absolutely,
way?
100%.
Okay.
It legitimately answers one of the only outstanding like plot questions that the game
Okay.
has, in a very direct manner.
And so, if someone were to, like, then it's an essential piece of this whole experience now. Like,
100%. Yeah.
okay. And the time you spend on that compared to the time you spend on the original base game is what?
60-40.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe 70-30. Like, I could actually check, because I did Outer Wild streams and I beat the whole thing. So I just like, how many streams did I spend on the base game versus how many streams did I spend on the DLC? Okay, so it's about, I spent 4 streams, I think, on Outer Wilds. And I spent 2 streams on the DLC.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Fair
So
enough.
it's
Call it half.
12 to 15 versus 8.
Sick.
And that's pretty much for shit to talk about this week.